Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast episode number 142. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Mondays with Mello. Today, I just want to talk about things that I'm currently working on, things that are on my mind, the good, the bad, the indifferent. And I just want to be transparent with you guys and, talk about my journey a little bit. I don't remember the last time I've really had a podcast where I've just kind of came on here and, talked about, what's going on with me. Currently, right now, I am working on a 12-book series for next year. The book series is called Alphabet City, and it's about a bad neighborhood with Black and Latinos and the struggles of living basically in the hood. It's a 12-book series because you will meet 12 different characters. Well, 13, honestly, because there's 2 characters in one book. The goal behind it is to really talk about and share the realities from different points of view and different standpoints. So you'll hear it from a perspective of young teenage kids. You'll hear it from a perspective of a single mother raising 2 children in a bad neighborhood. You'll hear it from the older woman who has seen the beginnings of Alphabet City and how it started to where it is currently. And by the way, this is a fictional series based off of things that I have seen and experienced in my life and things that friends have experienced, former friends, things of that nature. As you guys know, the world inspires me on a daily basis, and listening and hearing stories is my outlet and way to, be able to write what I do write. And it's about, social issues, obviously, and how we, improve and make these tough neighborhoods a better place to live. And I didn't want to make this series about councilmen, politicians, and law enforcement making the neighborhood better. It's more of holding people accountable that literally live in that neighborhood to make it better. It's broken down, Alphabet City, into 26 blocks, and the basis of this series is some people make it out and some people don't. And there are 3 gangs in this neighborhood: red, blue, black, and they all have their purpose and what they're trying to accomplish. And I traced back to the 80s crack epidemic. I kind of used that in the book series. I was born in the 80s, just get you guys on notice, just in case you guys are listening for the first time. So I'm older than you think, and I'm older than I sound. So the goal behind this series is to really have these conversations on what's going on in these neighborhoods and why. And me being from New York City and having been in so many different neighborhoods, from the nice ones to the tough and rugged, and have pretty much traveled through that New York City subway system, up, down, left, and right, have seen the good, bad, and ugly of that subway system. I have, and to have lived in the inner city and then moved to the suburbs, you see 2 totally different worlds. And I'm fortunate enough to have grown up in both worlds and have seen both sides of the spectrum, and have experienced things in the inner city that have molded me into who I am, and have experienced things in the suburbs that have grown me into who I am. So this project has been a long time coming. This series got planned out 2 years ago. So I literally had notes from literally an older notebook. I'm like a whole different notebook now on other ideas. So that tells you how long ago I really planned out this book series. And I will say this is the longest book series I've written to date, and it's the toughest one I've written because it's 12 books. It's a myriad of characters. I would say it's more challenging than the World We Live In series, which has 18 characters throughout a whole book series for a 5-book series, and you're literally carrying stories of 18 different people. But it's tougher because I don't want to sound repetitive, and I want to make sure that I bring out the story from each character's perspective. And when you guys watch the news and you see a shooting happen in a bad neighborhood, you go, oh, here we go again. Because that's what anyone's reaction is. I mean, shoot, that's my reaction, right? So you're going to meet a young man who's in college who got out, and he was saved by someone that is considered the saint of the neighborhood, and you'll meet him later on in the series. Another character you'll meet is a funeral director who has lived and grown up in Alphabet City and opened up a funeral home to, give people the access to bury their loved ones, the older people, who pass away naturally or, are sick or whatever the case is, only to realize that she's dealing with young kids being killed on a daily basis. And then she's burying her own family members in her own funeral home, right? And these are the stories that you don't hear, and these are the stories that you don't get to hear and understand. You don't get to hear from the matriarch of the neighborhood, and you'll learn about her and her story, right? And her raising 2 kids and seeing a neighborhood go through the crack epidemic, and her and her husband having to put their children in school in the suburbs in order for them to make it. And as that story progresses, yeah, that'll be a good one too. And then you're gonna meet the gang members, and you're gonna meet the escorts in the neighborhood, and the drug addicts and things of that nature. So you're gonna get it from many different perspectives. You're not gonna get the news report, and I know that a lot of people are gonna get a full understanding of what it really is like to live in a bad neighborhood, because it's easy to script a TV show and write it a certain way, like The Wire, and that was an iconic TV show that really personified what Baltimore was going through and probably still is going through to this day. And you're going to meet a police detective, actually, sorry, not a police officer, police detective, later on, later down the series. So it's a project that, I would say I'm proud of, and I'm happy of the way it's turned out. Some books, have, been elevated a lot more because I sat down and I processed things in my mind, and I have notes in my phone, and, I kind of go through all the things that I wrote out of what I want to cover in, this Alphabet City series. And I've covered a large percentage of it. And that series will start next year in January. And I'm loving the process. I'm up to book 10 as you guys listen to this. So I'm on book 10 out of 12, and the goal is to finish the book series by the end of August, so I can spend at least September and October going through the editing process of, making sure these books sound good, crisp, and I bring out the best out of these characters and get you guys to really understand what it's like in the hood. And I know that there will be readers who have grown up in it and understand it and have experienced certain things, and it may trigger them, and that's not really the goal, but it's really to open eyes to what's really going on in the inner cities of different places around the country. The other things that I'm working on right now is obviously keeping up with you guys on this podcast as much as I can, and recording these and making sure that I keep myself on point with this podcast, because I have some dedicated listeners and I'm really dedicated to this podcast. That's definitely something that I will always continue to do. And I know that it's important to, keep you guys in the loop with that. Currently, I'm in the second half of 12 books for this year. The first 6 was A Woman's Worth. This year, I'm currently shifting into A Man's Plight, which focuses on men's social issues. And part 1 is currently out. By the time you guys listen to this, we'll be heading into part 2. So that Men's Plight will be a 6-book series. And it's a really good one that focuses on a lot of things that, we as men struggle with. And from mental health to marriage to finances to kids to the portrayals of us and, who we are and who we want to be, and the pressures that society puts on us, and how 1 in 4 men will most likely commit suicide somewhere along the lines in their lives. And I've gone into brief discussions on this podcast about my mental health and what I've dealt with in my life, and I still focus on making sure that I'm good. And I will admit, lately my body's been tired, so I've been trying to rest myself as much as possible and trying to open up my mind and my heart to new things. And yes, that does mean that I'm opening my mind and my heart to the greatest thing that a man could ever achieve, and that's being in a relationship with someone. So, that's been on my mind a lot lately. And I will admit, I do write love poetry, and I do write, I have written love poetry books. I just will never publish them. I will say that those love poetry books will be read by someone special down the road, and that will be worth it and fulfilling. I really don't delve into my personal life too much, but I mean, hey, here I am being open and vulnerable. I don't want you guys to just think that I'm all about motivation and and book insight and characters I write about. No, I do have a life outside of being behind this nice microphone of mine. I do watch a lot of content on television to get ideas. I do, spend a lot of time thinking about life and what my goals are and where I want to be. And, as I near age 40, I reflect back on my life, and I have finally stepped into the place of commending myself for making a lot of solid decisions that have me in this moment right now. There's a lot that I deal with, in my mind, because I'm empathic. I'm considered more of a light worker, and I'm a healer in a lot of ways, and I take on a lot of people's energies. And lately, I've been hiding. I have been hiding in my apartment. I have not been around a lot. I have not made myself readily available, and I do not go out too much. Uh, and it's for a good reason. Because I am focused on all of these projects and all of the things that I'm trying to get to. And there are some other things that I'm focused on right now that I I don't want to get into because I don't know exactly who's listening to this podcast. So, yeah, I don't want to randomly get a text message or a phone call from anyone going, "Oh, so that, yeah." No, I don't want that right now in my life. But anyway, that's currently what's going on with me right now in my life. I'm just, always trying to keep my mind right, my physical, my physique good, and making sure that I'm, staying dedicated to my workouts in the gym, and looking forward to a break in 2 weeks. I go on a little vacation. Won't tell you where, but let's just say I will have time to kind of chill out a little bit. But don't worry, the time I'm on vacation, the podcast will still be coming along. So don't worry about that. I pre-record these weeks ahead of time. Anyway, that's pretty much what's going on with me currently. I don't know if you guys like these types of podcasts to let you guys know what's going on with me and what I'm working on and how I'm doing, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. But right now, I'm in a pretty good place, and I'm just looking forward to continuing this journey and figuring out what God has for me next. Anyway, that's my podcast for today. I thank you guys for listening as always. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.